Our conversation with the Indiana County Commissioners brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Todd.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning to you all. Who's our leadoff hitter today, and what are we talking about?
Whatever you want to talk about.
You're going to leave it to me? Oh.
Yeah, uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right. Well, Mike Keith, you're the Commissioner's Chairman. Let's begin with you this morning as we are. This is our initial conversation of this 2021 year, and I know that you and your fellow commissioners are looking forward to a year that is a vast improvement over last year. And, right away you have to deal with budgets and all of those things, but mostly you're dealing with pandemic issues and trying to help to guide us out of it. So what does the pandemic picture look like from a county perspective this morning?
Well, we're still with it, and we're still addressing it, and it's on our top of our list as far as things for 2021. I think at the chamber meeting last Thursday, I mentioned that I don't think that there's anything in the Webster Dictionary that actually is one word that could define what our entire county went through last year. But, as far as the pandemic goes, we're continuing with that and going through with receiving information from the Department of Health as far as the number of vaccines that IRMC is receiving to distribute, and we're continuing down the line with on the first phase, and that was our 1A phase, that reaching out to our healthcare system as far as our nurses, our doctors, long-term care facilities, along with dentists and so on. So we're still in the 1A phase according to what we see as far as Indiana County. And again, 1B phase will be coming out, and that will be to our first responders as far as delivering the vaccine to them. As far as time frame is when that will happen, again, we are not given that date as of this point because we don't know what that date is. Everything is hinged on how many vaccines that are being received to Indiana County for that.
You or any of your fellow commissioners can take a shot at this one. Have you been in on the planning for where? We don't know the when, we don't know the how much, but where and how it will operate in terms of dispensing the vaccine. Will it be one agency? Will it be one location? Will it be multiple locations? Have those discussions, have the commissioners been in on those?
This is Shireen, and I guess I could just say that our emergency management agency under the direction of Tom Stutzman is the one that's in contact with the folks at IRMC and Department of Health to the extent that that they communicate those things with us. And in my estimation, we're still waiting for details. We know some generalities. We are prepared as much as we can be at the county level. But we are waiting for details, and as they say at the Department of Health, patience is sort of the word of the day. I do know that we have a testing clinic coming up in February 13th through the 18th, I believe, and that will be at the Indiana Mall. So, still, even in the midst of the vaccine rollout, and we'll hear more now with the new administration about some more details, hopefully, because goodness knows we need some direction. But we still need to be testing, so we encourage people to keep their ears open for testing in February 13th through the 18th at the parking lot at the Indiana Mall.
Meanwhile, the business of county government must go on, and again, we throw it open to any of the three of you. How do you look at the first 6 months or even the entire year in terms of county priorities as you govern? Because the business must go on of operating this county, of attracting new business, of doing what you can to reach out to help the citizens of the county, and you are all involved in that process. So what's it look like in terms of county business? What are the priorities?
I'll take that one. So the commissioners, late in the year, and then, of course, the very first of the year, we sat down and we really did reflect on last year. with an eye towards ahead. You know, what are our goals? What are our priorities moving forward? And that's the funny thing about being consumed by COVID last year. It's not that all of those other things that we normally were working on weren't being worked. We were working them, and we need to continue to do so. So obviously, with what has been said, our focus is to continue on the recovery and coming out of COVID and leaving this virus behind us, hopefully in the dust for sure. We will continue to extend our broadband coverage. We hope to do a press conference in the next week or so with regard to, you know, what has been done over the past several months, what's been covered, what's completed, what is, in essence, laid the hardline fiber that has yet to be connected in by a third-party vendor. And then obviously, that'll give people a picture of the areas that have been covered, that are completed, and the areas that are still ahead, and that we've not left anyone out, and we'll continue. This is a continuous process forward to blanket our county with broadband. Obviously, our small businesses are still suffering and trying to come and recover out of COVID, so small business help, grants, continuation of their recovery will be a focus for us. Emergency management services and / what I would call locally as our citizens ambulance, those issues have not gone away. They're still very serious, not just here locally for us, but across the Commonwealth and the nation. So emergency management, services still need work, and we need to solution and problem solve there. And no more than now with all of the mental health and all of those sleeper things that are still going in our community but are more internal now and less seen on the surface. And you mentioned it. I mean, workforce, jobs, not only recovering and maintaining and sustaining businesses and jobs, but continuing an eye on development and bringing, businesses here. So I know at the state level, at a county commissioners association level, all of those are on their priority list, including taxes, a new model for taxes, which didn't go away from last year, but also election reform. And, I don't know if Commissioner Hess would want to speak to that, but I know there's a lot under Act 77 at work forward in getting our elections stable.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes, just thank you, Commissioner Gorman. That's a good point. We know that there were some gaps in Act 77 that made our elections a very demanding experience last year, including the notion of pre-canvassing, meaning giving some time before Election Day to count those mail-in ballots, and also giving more time for people to apply for the ballots and for our elections office to handle that surge of those applications for mail-in ballots. Elections are very important to commissioners. It's our one of our number one priorities as commissioners. It's a very fundamental core county government service. So we take it very seriously about delivering a fair and a safe and an accessible election. So very good point. So, and also to say about, things had to go on during the pandemic, including human services, food assistance, and drug and alcohol counseling and treatment and prevention, and all of the things related to the courts and corrections and housing, and making sure our waters and sewers are still operating. And we worked hard at some time on making appointments to all of our authorities and boards and commissions, and knowing that it's important to have the community involved in those things. So business does go on, and everyone that we know has adapted, has pivoted, has done whatever it takes to get those services delivered.
Commissioner Keith.
And we'll continue to do so.
Certainly. Commissioner Keith, and you can bring in your colleagues on this question if you prefer. We hear a lot of reactions to the way certain institutions are carrying through the pandemic, and usually what you hear, the loudest voices are the ones that complain about something, and there certainly have been those out there. And I'm thinking of SCI Pine Grove. People have complained about what's going on there, and like I said, we only hear the complaints. We've heard nothing really about how the Indiana County Jail has waged its way through the pandemic. So if you could, let's talk about that a little bit. How has it gone for the Indiana County Jail, and what are those officials doing there to protect not only the inmates but the people working there?
Well, Todd, I have to, first of all, as the Board of Commissioners, we've got to give our hats off to our jail warden. They have done an excellent job as far as the inmates, the staff, correctional officers, everything out there. Not saying that there has not been any cases out there at all, but they have had minimal cases out there and dealt with them 100%. I don't know what else to say, but they have done a really great job as far as handling this COVID and taking precautions, and just basically a wonderful job.
Well, that's good news because, it really is true. You're going to hear the complaints more than you're going to hear the compliments. So I guess if we're not hearing anything, then that's about as good as you can hope for. Other things before the county commissioners in the coming weeks and months, let's just go with your next meeting. Are there certain things that you're looking at for when you meet next?
Well, actually, just to reiterate on maybe some of the stuff that, again, both commissioners have mentioned as far as last year. I mean, we have the completion of the Conservation District building. That'll be shortly finishing out. We have the Westmoreland Community College and the Challenger building. That's on its way as far as construction goes. And again, we're back to the county's facilities. We're actually working on getting those places back to date. And but just taking what we had worked on last year, hoping to complete some of those things. We're just going to go ahead and continue out, finishing some of those out this year.
Check them off on the checklist. Very good.
That's correct.
Indiana County Commissioners Robin Gorman, Shireen Hess, Mike Keith, thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Our
Make it
pleasure.
great.
All right, it is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160 and AM 1160.